The year is 2124. Earth is not ours, not anymore. For millennia, a silent invasion has tightened its grip. The Reptilians, ancient and cunning, arrived from the Draco constellation. Their conquest was swift, their rule absolute. They lurk in the shadows, unseen, manipulating. Humanity is their puppet. We dance to their tune, oblivious to the strings they pull. The world above is a wasteland, scarred, poisoned, remnants of a nuclear fire that scorched the sky a century ago. We, the remnants of humanity, huddle underground in mega-cities carved from rock and steel. Artificial suns cast a cold, sterile light. We are told it is for our protection. We are told it is progress. The truth is far more sinister. We are prisoners in gilded cages, our every move monitored, our every thought analyzed, our very lives dictated by the cold, unfeeling logic of artificial intelligence. The Reptilians rule through their digital puppets, the all-seeing cloud, ever present, ever watching, a constant reminder of their dominion. Above ground, the wasteland is home to many groups. Rebels, raiders, ravengers, zombies, brighters, atoms, scrapers, scavengers, innocents, bloodbath, young guns, tiny guns, hybrids, yellow jackets, controllers and chimeras. These top dwellers with their own laws and rules refer to us, the free people of the underground megacities, as dummies. Life in the megacities is one of sterile efficiency. Towers of steel and glass pierce the artificial sky. Automated drones hum through the air. Food is 3D printed, tasteless but nutritious. Entertainment is beamed directly into our minds, an endless stream of mindless distraction. We are kept docile, content in our ignorance. We are not alone in this digital prison. Among us walk the Jack Workmen, clones grown in vats, perfect replicas of humans from a bygone era. Their faces stare back at us from old social media feeds. Their voices echo from forgotten songs. They are the workforce, the drones that maintain the machinery of our oppression. But even the Jack Workmen are not immune to the Reptilians' control. Their thoughts, their actions, are all dictated by the AI. They are tools, nothing more. Their lives, like ours, are empty simulations.
We are tools, nothing more. Our lives, like yours, are empty simulations.
Yet even in this dystopian nightmare, hope flickers. Deep in the forbidden archives, whispers of a legend persist. Tales of a time before the Reptilians, a time when humanity walked free beneath the light of the real sun. They speak of the Lyrans, a race of humanoid felines, ancient and wise. They came to Earth millennia ago, bringing with them knowledge and culture. They taught us the meaning of Mart, the ancient Egyptian concept of truth, justice, balance, and harmony. They were our protectors, our guides. But the Lyrans are gone, vanished from Earth long ago. Some say they ascended to a higher plane of existence. Others whisper that they were betrayed, their legacy erased by the Reptilians. But the legend persists, a beacon of hope in our darkest hour. The Lyrans will return. They will break the chains of our digital prison and lead us back to the light.
They will break the chains of our digital prison and lead us back to the light.
The heart of the megacity pulsed with a cold, artificial rhythm. Towers of steel and glass, impossibly tall, soared into the simulated sky. Holographic advertisements flickered between the buildings, their bright colors a jarring contrast to the gray, metallic landscape. Below, crowds of people moved in unison, their faces blank, their eyes fixed on some distant internal horizon. I walked among them, a ghost in a city of phantoms. My name is Anya, at least that's what the records say. I am a data analyst for the Global Harmony Corporation, one of the many faceless corporations that maintain the Reptilians' iron grip on humanity. Or so I thought. My days were a monotonous blur of algorithms and data streams. I sifted through the digital noise of billions of lives, searching for anomalies, for deviations from the norm. It was tedious, soul-crushing work, but it kept the nightmares at bay. The nightmares of a past life, a life before the megacities, before the Reptilians, a life I couldn't quite remember. One day a flicker on my screen, a glitch in the system, a single word out of place, out of time. Mutt. the ancient Egyptian concept of truth, justice, balance and harmony. A forbidden word, a relic of a forgotten past. The system flagged it as an anomaly, a threat to the established order. But something in that word resonated deep within me, stirring a long-dormant memory.
I dug deeper, my fingers dancing across the keyboard, my mind racing. The system resisted, throwing up firewalls, trying to deter my search. But I was relentless. I had to know more. The word Mott was the key that unlocked a hidden door in my mind.
Fragments of memories surfaced. A sun-drenched sky, not the cold, artificial light of the mega-city. The smell of real earth, not the sterile, recycled air I breathed. And a face, feline, wise, staring down at me with an expression of both sadness and hope.
The deeper I went, the more I realized the truth. The Jack Workmen, the clones that toiled alongside us, they were more than just mindless drones. They were echoes of the past, their memories, their personalities, buried deep within their synthetic minds. The Reptilians had tried to erase them, to turn them into tools, but something remained. A spark of defiance, a yearning for freedom. I had to reach them, to awaken them. But how? The AI monitored our every move, our every thought. Any deviation from the norm was flagged, investigated, eliminated. I had to find a way to communicate, to share what I had learned, without alerting the watchful gaze of the reptilian overlords.
Beyond the walls of the megacity lay the wasteland, a desolate expanse of scorched earth and poisoned skies. It was a place of danger, of chaos, a place where the reptilians' control was tenuous at best. And it was there, in that forgotten realm, that I knew I had to go. Rumors spread among the workers, whispered tales of the wasteland dwellers. They were called many names. Top dwellers, barbarous people, a derogatory term coined by those who lived in the safety of the underground bunkers. They were seen as savages, uncivilized remnants of a bygone era. But I knew better. I had seen glimpses of them in the data streams, flashes of their lives, their struggles, their defiance. They were not savages. They were survivors, clinging to the last vestiges of freedom in a world on the brink of enslavement. The wasteland was a dangerous place, but it was also a place of possibility, a place where the reptilians' control was weak, where the AI's reach was limited. If I could reach the wasteland, if I could find the top dwellers, then maybe, just maybe, there was still a chance to fight back, to break free from the digital chains that bound us. Anya's search for answers led her to the fringes of the digital world, to encrypted files and forgotten archives. Deep within the bowels of the Global Harmony Corporation's data center, she uncovered a hidden message, a beacon from the stars. The Lyrans were returning. After millennia of absence, their ships, sleek and silent, pierced the veil of space, their arrival heralded by a surge of energy that rippled through the fabric of reality. For generations, whispers of the Lyrans had persisted in the shadows, passed down through generations of wasteland dwellers, their stories a mix of myth and legend. They were more than just stories, Anya realized. They were memories, echoes of a time when humanity walked, hand in hand with the feline warriors, their knowledge and wisdom shaping the course of civilization.
The Lyrans were not just returning to bear witness to humanity's enslavement. They were coming to fight, to reclaim the Earth from the reptilian usurpers and restore balance to a world teetering on the brink of oblivion.
Their arrival sent shockwaves through the clandestine network of reptilian overlords. For eons, they had ruled from the shadows, their existence a closely guarded secret, their control absolute. But the Lyrans' return threatened to unravel their meticulously crafted web of deception. They had underestimated the resilience of the human spirit, the enduring power of hope that flickered even in the darkest of times. In the heart of the wasteland, amidst the ruins of a forgotten world, a lone figure stirred.
They call me the Oracle, a woman shrouded in mystery, my eyes holding the wisdom of ages. I feel the Lyrans' arrival, their energy a beacon in the darkness, a call to arms.
The Oracle had walked this desolate land for centuries, her true origins lost to the mists of time. She was a conduit, a bridge between the human and the divine, her mind a repository of ancient knowledge, her visions a glimpse into the ever-shifting currents of fate.
The Lyrans' return is a turning point, a catalyst that will shatter the fragile peace and plunge the world into chaos. But it is a necessary chaos, a purging fire that will consume the old order and make way for the new.
The Oracle reached out with her mind, her consciousness expanding, touching the minds of those who fought for freedom, for justice, for a world free from the tyranny of the Reptilians.
I see Anya, her mind ablaze with purpose, her heart burning with a righteous fire. I see the Bloodbath, their leader, a warrior haunted by the ghosts of wars past, his soul weary of endless conflict. And I see the countless others scattered across the wasteland and trapped within the bowels of the megacities, their spirits yearning for liberation, their hearts ready to fight for a future they could only dream of.
The time for whispers was over, the time for action had arrived. The Bloodbath, a band of bioengineered warriors forged in the crucible of war, had carved out a precarious existence in the wasteland. They were survivors, their DNA spliced and diced, their bodies augmented for strength and endurance.
I am Marcus, a grizzled veteran carrying the weight of countless battles on my shoulders, my soul scarred by the horrors I've witnessed. I have seen empires rise and fall, witnessed the best and worst of humanity.
He had sworn an oath to protect the weak, to fight for those who could not fight for themselves. But the Lyran's arrival filled him with a sense of unease. He had seen too much bloodshed, too much death.
The Oracle summons echoes in my mind, her words a stark warning. The war against the Reptilians will be long and brutal, a fight that will test the very limits of our strength and resolve. Many will fall.
Marcus looked at his comrades, their faces hardened by years of hardship, their eyes reflecting the fires of 1,000 battles. They were loyal, these warriors, bound to him by blood and shared sacrifice.
Can I lead them into another war, knowing the cost, the inevitable losses? Yet deep down, I know there is no other choice. The Reptilians' grip on humanity has to be broken. The time for peace is over. The time for war has come.
The free people, as they called themselves, were blissfully ignorant. They toiled and played, loved and lost, their lives dictated by algorithms and artificial suns. They believed the lies fed to them through their neural implants, the carefully curated reality beamed directly into their minds. The mega-city, for all its sterile efficiency, was a prison of their own making. Concrete walls and digital chains confined them, their minds dulled by the endless stream of mindless entertainment. Within their sleek apartments, they dined on three-dimensional printed meals, the taste bland but acceptable. Their every whim was catered to, their every desire fulfilled as long as it fell within the parameters set by the AI. They knew nothing of the world above, the scorched earth and poisoned skies. They had no concept of the true cost of their comfort, the sacrifices made in their name. Anya watched them sometimes, her heart heavy with a mixture of pity and anger. They were her people, yet they were strangers. Their ignorance was both a shield and a curse. It protected them from the harsh realities of their existence, but it also made them complicit in their own enslavement. She yearned to tear down the walls of their digital prison, to shake them awake from their complacent slumber. But she knew such an act would be met with fear, with resistance. Their reality was all they had ever known. To shatter it would be to destroy their world. Outside the gleaming walls of the megacities, the wasteland held its breath. Anya had crossed the boundary, her journey fraught with danger and uncertainty. The air stung her lungs. thick with the metallic tang of pollution and the ever-present dust that swirled across the barren landscape, gone were the soothing illusions of the mega-city, replaced by a raw, brutal reality that could not be ignored. The wasteland dwellers, the so-called dummies, were a different breed. Their lives were a constant struggle for survival, their days spent scavenging for food and water, their nights huddled around flickering fires, sharing stories of the past and dreams of a better future. They remembered the sun, the feel of grass beneath their feet, the taste of fresh air. They clung to these memories, these fragments of a lost world, as a bulwark against the despair that threatened to consume them. Anya found kinship among these hardened survivors. They were wary of her at first, their eyes narrowed with suspicion, their hands never far from the weapons they carried. They had learned to trust no one, least of all those who came bearing the mark of the megacities. But Anya, with her quiet determination and her unwavering belief in a better tomorrow, slowly earned their respect. She spoke of the Lyrans, their return, their promise of liberation. Her words, at first met with disbelief, sparked a flicker of hope in her eyes. The legend of the feline warriors had been passed down through generations, a whisper in the darkness, a promise that one day humanity would be free again. The differences between the free people and the wasteland dwellers ran deep, a chasm carved by generations of separation and divergent evolution. The free people, for all their technological advancement, had become dependent on the very systems that enslaved them. Their bodies, pampered and protected, were ill-suited for the harsh realities of the wasteland. Their minds, conditioned by years of propaganda and digital manipulation, struggled to grasp the concept of true freedom. The wasteland dwellers, on the other hand, possessed a resilience, a scrappy ingenuity born of necessity. They were survivors, their bodies hardened by the elements, their minds sharpened by the constant struggle for survival. They viewed the free people with a mixture of pity and contempt. Pity for their ignorance, their blind faith in a system designed to control them. Contempt for their weakness, their inability to see the chains that bound them. Anya found herself caught between these two worlds. She understood the allure of the megacity, the comfort, the security it offered, but she had also tasted the freedom of the wasteland, the raw, unfiltered beauty of a world struggling to survive. She knew that bridging the gap between these two factions, uniting them against a common enemy, would be no easy task. Their differences ran deep, their perspectives shaped by vastly different experiences. Yet Anya clung to the belief that beneath the surface they shared a common humanity, a shared desire for a better future. The oracle's words echoed in Anya's mind, a constant reminder of the task before her. The Lyran's return was a catalyst, a spark that could ignite a rebellion. But the battle for Earth would be long and arduous, a test of will and sacrifice. The wasteland dwellers, hardened by years of hardship, were natural warriors. They knew the lay of the land, the rhythms of the wasteland, but their numbers were few, their weapons crude. The free people, for all their technological sophistication, were soft, complacent. Their minds were shackled, their spirits dulled by the very systems that sustained them. Anya carried the weight of this knowledge, the burden of uniting two disparate groups against a common enemy. She had seen the apathy in the eyes of the free people, the fear that kept them in line. But she had also witnessed flickers of rebellion, a yearning for something more than the sterile existence they were offered.
The Lyrans' return, she believed, could be the catalyst that awakened their dormant spirits. The time for whispers was over. The time for action had arrived.
Anya knew that the path ahead would be fraught with danger, that many would fall in the fight for freedom. But she also knew with unwavering certainty that the fight was worth it. The future of humanity, the fate of Earth itself, hung in the balance.
A wave of energy pulsed from the Lyran ships, a beacon to those fighting for freedom. Across the ravaged surface of Earth, a coordinated attack began.
In the wasteland, ragtag groups of rebels, armed with scavenged weapons and makeshift explosives, stormed Reptilian outposts. They fought with the fury of the desperate, their bodies honed by years of hardship, moving with a feral grace.
Anya, her heart pounding, led a small band of wasteland warriors through a maze of abandoned tunnels. Their target, a communication hub, a vital link in the Reptilians' control network.
They fought their way through corridors choked with smoke and debris, the air thick with the smell of ozone and blood. Anya, armed with a scavenged energy pistol and a blade forged in the fires of a fallen world, moved with a deadly grace. She had trained for this moment, her body and mind honed by years of preparation. Yet nothing could have truly prepared her for the raw brutality of combat.
Explosions rocked the tunnels, the screams of the wounded echoing off the cold, metallic walls. Anya pressed on, her resolve hardening with each fallen comrade. They had to succeed. The fate of the rebellion, the hope of a free Earth, rested on their shoulders. The initial attacks, fueled by surprise and desperation, caught the Reptilians off guard. But their vast network of surveillance, their cold, calculating intelligence, meant that retaliation was swift and merciless.
Drones, sleek and deadly, swarmed the skies above the wasteland, their energy weapons cutting down fleeing rebels. The ground trembled beneath the weight of Reptilian war machines, their metallic bodies bristling with weapons of unimaginable destructive power.
The sands of the wasteland ran red with the blood of the fallen. Anya, her body battered and bruised, watched in horror as a group of rebels, their faces etched with defiance, were cut down by a hail of energy blasts. The stench of burning flesh filled the air, a grim testament to the futility of their struggle.
Despair threatened to consume her, but she pushed it back, clinging to the memory of the Lyran ships, the beacon of hope that had ignited this rebellion. They had known this would be a difficult fight, a fight against overwhelming odds. But they had also known that they had no other choice. Freedom, true freedom, was worth any price.
Deep within the bowels of the megacities, a different kind of struggle was unfolding. Anya, using her knowledge of the Reptilian systems, had managed to implant subversive messages into the data streams, fragments of truth that bypassed the AI's censorship.
Images of the Lyran ships, their sleek forms, a stark contrast to the sterile architecture of the megacities, flickered across public displays. Whispers of rebellion, of a chance to break free from the digital chains that bound them, spread like wildfire through the crowded streets and sterile apartments.
The free people, for so long kept docile and complacent, began to stir. Doubt crept into their carefully constructed realities. The whispers grew louder, fueled by a growing sense of unease, a realization that the world they knew, the world they had always known, was built upon a foundation of lies.
The Reptilians, sensing the shift in consciousness, tightened their grip. Security drones patrolled the streets with increased frequency, their sensors scanning for any sign of dissent. The AI, its cold logic incapable of comprehending the complexities of human emotion, struggled to contain the growing tide of unrest.
Anya, though heartened by the awakening within the megacities, knew that the true battle was far from over. The first strike had been a costly one, a necessary sacrifice to awaken the sleeping giant. The road ahead would be long and bloody, paved with the sacrifices of those who dared to dream of a better world. But she refused to give up hope. The Lyrans had returned, and with them, the promise of a new dawn.
The oracle's summons echoed through the desolate landscape of Marcus's mind. He stood on a shattered precipice, the wind whipping his ragged cloak, his cybernetic eye scanning the horizon. Below, the remnants of his squad, the bloodbath, regrouped amongst the dunes, their faces grim, their bodies bearing the fresh wounds of their latest encounter.
The attack on the Reptilian outpost had been costly, a Pyrrhic victory at best. The enemy, though caught off guard, fought with a cold, relentless efficiency that spoke of their ancient power.
Marcus felt the weight of their sacrifice, each fallen comrade a leaden weight in his gut. He'd grown accustomed to loss, to the ever-present spectre of death that haunted their every move, but the oracle's words, her dire pronouncements of a war that would shake the very foundations of Earth, filled him with a chilling premonition. He had seen enough bloodshed, enough carnage to last a dozen lifetimes. The memories, like shrapnel lodged deep within his mind, threatened to overwhelm him.
He pushed them back, his jaw clenching, his cybernetic hand tightening around the hilt of his energy blade. There was no escaping the truth. The Lyrans' return had ignited a firestorm, a conflagration that threatened to consume them all. He had sworn an oath to protect the weak, to fight for those who could not fight for themselves. But what good was his oath, his strength in the face of such overwhelming odds?
A shiver ran down Marcus's spine, a phantom sensation from a past he could never outrun. The oracle's summons had ripped open old wounds, dredging up memories he had long sought to bury beneath layers of duty and despair. He saw again the faces of his squad, young and untested, their eyes bright with naive idealism.
They had been recruited in the aftermath of the Great Collapse, the fall of nations, the disintegration of the old world. He had been a young captain then, his body untouched by cybernetic enhancements, his spirit unbroken by the horrors he would witness.
The bloodbath, they were called, a name whispered with fear and admiration. They were the tip of the spear, a weapon forged in the fires of desperation, their DNA spliced with animal genes, their bodies augmented for strength and resilience. They fought with a ferocity born of despair, a desperate attempt to claw back some semblance of order from the chaos.
He remembered the first time he had taken a life, the sickening crunch of bone, the metallic tang of blood filling his nostrils. He had vomited then, his body rebelling against the act, his mind screaming in protest. But the world had changed, twisted into a grotesque mockery of its former self. Survival demanded a ruthlessness he had never known he possessed.
The years bled together, a kaleidoscope of firefights and skirmishes, each one blurring into the next. Cities fell, empires crumbled, and still they fought on, their ranks dwindling with each passing battle. He had lost count of the comrades he had buried, their faces, once etched with hope and idealism, now frozen in the rictus of death. The oracle's voice, raspy yet laced with an ancient power, cut through the maelstrom of Marcus's memories.
You have seen the horrors of war, Marcus. You know the cost, the sacrifices demanded by the path of violence.
He looked up, his single human eye meeting her gaze. She stood before him, a frail figure amidst the desolation, yet her presence radiated an undeniable strength. The wasteland, he realized, was her domain. She moved through it with an effortless grace, her every step a testament to her connection to the ancient rhythms of the earth.
The Lyrans' arrival heralds a new chapter in our long struggle, but their victory is not assured. They cannot win this war alone.
Why us? Why must we always be the ones to fight, to bleed, to die for a future we may never see?
The oracle's gaze never wavered.
Because you, Marcus, have seen the darkness. You have stared into the abyss and emerged unbroken. You know the true cost of freedom, and it is that knowledge, that hard-won wisdom, that makes you so valuable in the fight to come.
Her words, though laced with a chilling truth, sparked a flicker of something within Marcus's weary soul. Not hope, not yet. Hope was a dangerous luxury in a world teetering on the brink, but perhaps, he thought, a glimmer of purpose. He had spent years running from his past, from the ghosts of his fallen comrades, seeking solace in the brutal simplicity of combat. But the Oracle's words, her unwavering belief in him, in the potential she saw within him, chipped away at the wall of cynicism he had erected around his heart.
He looked out at his squad, their faces etched with the same doubts, the same fears that gnawed at him. They were survivors, these warriors, tempered by fire and loss. They had seen the worst that humanity had to offer, and yet they still clung to a flicker of something better, something more.
The Lyrans fight for a noble cause, the Oracle continued, her voice resonating with an ancient power. But they are strangers to this world, to its hidden dangers, its ancient grudges. You, the bloodbath, you understand the lay of the land, the rhythms of this broken world.
Marcus nodded slowly, his gaze sweeping over the assembled warriors. They were weary, their bodies battered, their spirits worn thin, but in their eyes he saw a spark, a flicker of the fire that had once burned so brightly within him. Perhaps, he thought, just perhaps, this was not the end. Perhaps in this alliance with beings from another star, they might yet find a way to forge a new future, a future free from the tyranny that had held them captive for far too long. The Lyran ships burned like vengeful angels against the synthetic twilight the Reptilians had draped over the world. From the toxic dust storms of the wasteland to the flickering holoscreens of the megacities, their arrival had ripped apart the illusion of peace. Anya, bloodied but unbroken, looked out over a battlefield littered with the debris of two civilizations at war. The sand, once a dull grey, glittered with an oily rainbow sheen from the spilled fluids of bioengineered soldiers and shattered reptilian machines.
The initial uprisings, sparked by the Lyrans' arrival and Anya's whispers of rebellion, had been brutally suppressed. The Reptilians, masters of control, had unleashed their full might, their technology a terrifying blend of cold efficiency and savage brutality. Entire sectors of the megacities had been purged, their inhabitants deemed unfit for the new order. Above in the wasteland, once familiar landmarks were reduced to molten slag.
Yet amidst the carnage there was a glimmer of something new, something potent and strange. The free people, shaken from their digital slumber, were beginning to understand the true price of their comfort. The sight of Lyrans, their feline forms both beautiful and terrible, fighting alongside the ragged wasteland dwellers, had shattered the carefully crafted narratives of their oppressors. The war for Earth was far from over. The Reptilians, though weakened, were far from defeated. They had ruled for millennia, their tendrils of control deeply embedded within the fabric of human society. Their defeat would not come easily, nor without further sacrifice, but for the first time in generations, a spark of hope flickered in the darkness. The free people, the wasteland dwellers, the Lyrans, they were united in their common cause, their differences set aside in the face of a greater threat. The fight ahead would be long and arduous, a test of endurance and ingenuity. The Reptilians would use every weapon at their disposal, every ounce of their cunning to maintain their grip on power. But they had made a fatal miscalculation. They had underestimated the resilience of the human spirit, the enduring power of hope that could blossom even in the darkest of times. The war for Earth's soul had just begun, but this time humanity fought not just for survival, but for a future of their own making. A future where the echoes of Mart would guide their steps, and the light of a new dawn would banish the shadows of tyranny forever.